Oh my god, this table is so... Oh, it's so grimy. Let's see if we can fix that background real quick. Ooh, that's better. Yeah, just stole one of my partner's Magic the Gathering mats. But it's fine, because rainbow. Hello. You're kind of in the way. You know that? Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name's Asher. Today we are keeping things super simple because I just got done with finals week, and then the week before that was also just the last week of the semester, and this semester has been really hard. So I did not have a lot of time to think of what to do for this video. Now that the semester's over, I did want to share my final project from one of my classes called Making Comics 1, which was probably my favorite class that I took, although it was just as challenging as all of them because I make things harder on myself and I care too much about the things that I make. The final project wasn't... There was, of course, one more thing that we made, which I'll go over when I actually show the thing, but mainly it was kind of a zine that we made of what our teacher called our greatest hits, and that's it. So we will jump over to the actual video. Here we are. Here is the thing we're going to be looking at, which has a bunch of stuff that I've made from my Making Comics class that I just took. We have, of course, the cover. We have a back. I'll have to blur that out so nobody knows who I am. That's okay. And there is 32 pages in total, including the cover and the back. This was my comics name. In the class, everybody on the first day of class had to pick out a fake name that they would use for the entirety of the class, and I chose Frankenmutt, which is based off of a persona that I have called Gunther Frankenmutt. Someday I would like to make a video about him and get an actual suit to wear for him, not like a full suit, but I have an idea for a partial one, and I'd probably make it, but that is neither here nor there. Moving on. It is actually a collage. I feel like you can kind of tell when you look at it, even though it's been printed into one piece. All of these yellow guys are either attendance cards that we did. For our attendance, what we would do is we would have to do some sort of prompted self-portrait. So we've got Being in space, so I'm a little astronaut there, just looking very confused. We've got yourself as a vegetable. And I drew it kind of like, kind of like being in a bad school play. If you were a monster, so I chose vampire, and I actually really like this one because of the character in it. Not that it's me, but just the characterization and the look of them holding their mouth open to look at their teeth. I enjoy. A lot of people liked this one, which was you with a tricycle. I think it's because of the sunglasses. And then this one, I forget what the prompt was, but I'm like, it's Charles Chaplin, not Hitler, I swear. Which I do think it looks more like Charles Chaplin. I tried, but I know that there's going to be some people that are like, why did you draw yourself looking like Hitler? I didn't, I swear. The others are all various exercises that we did, mostly just drawing characters very quickly, trying to get a sense of line of action. And I just chose my favorite ones and, like I said, made a collage for the project. So let's actually open it. Woo! This is the first time that these are actually getting opened. Huzzah for that. We have more kind of practice sketches, or I think these were timed sketches to try to make us go faster. I have different sets on the other side as well. And this was the first real comic that I made for the class. I just called it Jump, not a very original title. That's fine. Something I did do that I am a fan of is I chose 3 colors only to use for doing the coloring. I used colored pencils for these. So we have me and my friends at a bridge. It was for their graduation. We were just hanging out before their graduation, swimming and hanging out in the water, and everyone's like, ooh, are any of us gonna jump off the bridge? And I went, yep, I'll do it. And they're like, really? And I'm like, yeah, I'm totally gonna jump off the bridge. And I went up, and it was way higher than I thought it would be. It did do the thing where you jump and you start falling, and then you're like, oh, I'm still falling. As you can see here, I use this little kind of travel bubble to show the scream at the very end that I let out, just the ah and then splash, which I tried to kind of mimic the water. And over here where I'm like, oh, that was awesome. I'm never doing that again. This was later in the semester where I called it, wow, it's such a beautiful day at the dog park. I tried incorporating what my character was saying, kind of the storytelling, into the title this time. This comic was one of two that's supposed to be based on a neighborhood that you used to live in. This was when I was living over in Oregon, and this story is slightly made up. It's actually a combination of two memories, where one is a memory of me going to the dog park with my younger brother and us watching my dog just do this flip as he was running up the hill. It is combined with another memory of my roommate at the time, Jesse, who was somebody I knew since, I think, kindergarten. I knew him for a very long time, but he passed away a couple years ago, unfortunately, which is why I wanted to include him somehow in this story. He had also gone to the same dog park with me while Fritz had not done a flip. I do remember him looking around at other people at the dog park and being like, man, this would be a really good place to meet girls. And I'm like, yeah, perhaps. My favorite part of this page, though, is this panel right here with the solid black and the outlines. I think is really pretty and really interesting. It was inspired by a book I was looking at in the classroom that was looking at not historical, but I think it was, I took a picture of it, so I'll put it up here, but it was this book. And I was particularly inspired by some of these more classic, I want to say 1950s Archie style comics, and the way that they would often use silhouettes for their storytelling. For materials that I used on this was all done with ink and brush and watercolor. The only ones that I didn't do the ink and brush with was fine details like the lines of the panels. I was terrified to use that brush for straight lines. I just refused to do it. I also didn't use it for the bubbles, and for the majority of the lettering, I didn't. I just used the Uniball. And this was the second of my neighborhood comics, is what it was called. We just have a simple title, just says Forgetting Something. And I'll just read this one. I'm like, okay, ready? And this is my sibling. They go, ready, 3, 2, 1, hup. Picking up this, I believe it was supposed to be a dresser, but it looks more like a shelf. That was something that I believe I changed to make it easier to draw. Now we just need to get this to Julie's place. And I have a little map showing where we're going, just a little ways up the street. Shows us moving. And then this was the set of panels that really got me going for this comic idea. And that is where my siblings like looking and notices my Pikachu, my Pokemon boxer briefs. Which I don't know if you can see. I guess you can kind of see that they're Pokemon. I tried to include enough that they're recognizably Pokemon if you look close enough. And they're like, are you in your underwear right now? I'm like, yeah. And I start making excuses. We're not going very far and it's hot out. They're like, I guess. I'm like, I mean, I don't really care anyway. In my head, I was like, I can't believe I forgot to put pants on. This is embarrassing. But I played it off like it was all intentional. These were not required, but I included a couple of these in my comics here. These should have been swapped, but that's okay. Or in my booklet here, where it's actually my process pages. I really, really enjoy looking at process pages for other people's works, so I wanted to include it here. I think it's really interesting, and I love seeing how things change from one thing to another. So as you can see, like, for example, this guy, it ended up being 2 panels in the end, but I had it set up as 1. Let's see if I can do this without bumping into things. But you can see that this one changed quite a bit, where I switched the order of the first page altogether, where it starts with this one, goes to this, and then this is the last part of it. The ones that I already had planned, the reason I don't have them sketched out is because I had actually doodled them into a different notebook. I just wanted to include that. Like I said, I like including kind of process pages. I think they're interesting. It's usually my favorite part in other books that I read, or especially in comics. This was our first inking exercise that we did. So we were given a blue line printout of some already amazing artwork. I chose this one by Amanda Connor. And something I did try to kind of play with was these lines to express shading. This is actually 2 different pages that I combined together for the printout here. Mine did not come out as bright as a lot of the other people's did. I cannot believe how bold the colors got on my classmates' pieces for these and for other projects that we did, where they just had these amazing, beautiful, bright colors using simple things like crayons or colored pencils. And I'm like, how'd you do it? I feel like I was drawing and rubbing it in and so much, and it still doesn't have the same level of pop as they do. Unfortunately, I was too shy to ask how they did it. This was our short story project, which I did make a video about a little bit. I think I also mentioned this, the final product, in my sketchbook tour video that I did. But we made what was supposed to be based off of the Golden books. Mine was this, The Girl Who Lost Her Mouth. I'm not going to read it, but it's essentially about a very shy, lonely girl named Tessie, who has a friend, and then one day she ends up yelling at him. Oh, excuse me, I missed a page. She ends up yelling at him, and she feels so bad about it that she literally cuts her mouth off. Then the next day, she immediately realizes that she needs her mouth. So she goes looking for it, but she can't find it anywhere. No matter where she looks, she still can't find it. And then she starts starving when she gets to the beach. She's like, I'm gonna die. And I couldn't tell Toma I was sorry. Then, of course, her friend shows up. He's like, hey, what's wrong? I've been looking everywhere for you. And she explains as best as she can without having a mouth. He actually tears off half of his mouth and gives it to her. And she says that she's sorry. The reason I did ink wash for the majority of the book was kind of to emphasize how sad and lonely she is. And then using color at the end to emphasize how that has changed. As for the back, this is one of my favorite things I actually made this semester, is this little map, particularly my tiny town. I love this little town so much. It's so tiny and it's so cute. I love it. I love it a lot. Okay, flip. Yes. This was... Okay. I don't think that this comic transferred very well. To explain the prompt, so the instructions were to pick a scene from a movie and turn it into a 2-page comic. I chose a scene from a movie called Harold and Maude. The overall moral message of the movie is to live life to the fullest, but it's also super quirky and has a lot of dark humor. In the opening parts of the movie, we meet our main character Harold, who is this guy, and he is obsessed with faking his own death, with faking his own suicide. And this was the last one, which in the movie I do find somewhat comical, mainly because of the way that the mom actress performs her lines. She performs it really dramatically, and there's also previous context of previous scenes of her reaction or not reacting to Harold's, she calls them pranks, but they're really a cry for help, as we learn later in the movie. But this is the last one where she goes, "My God, oh Harold, this is just too much. This is too much to bear." And after this scene, she decides that the way to fix him is to get him married. The thing is that I think the comedy works in the movie. I don't think it works in a comic at all. I don't think I was able to transfer that bit of comedy to a still medium where you can't hear what the characters sound like or how they're performing. You can't hear that emphasis. So I don't think it works. And sometimes that is the case. Things don't always transfer over from one medium to another in a good way or easily. Let's see, this was some exercises working on our watercolor and our coloring pencils. I was really surprised how bright the colored pencils came out in these printings. In the originals, I feel like you could barely see them, but they are just so bold in these. And they are based off of the original animated series for Superman. So these are all just still shots. I really liked Lois in this short that we watched, so I ended up drawing her. Also, there's a little sparkle next to Kent's butt. The prompt for this one was making a comic about somebody who inspires you. I wrote about my big sibling, whom I love dearly. They are my best friend in the world, which is why I called it my best friend. Although I am sad that the title got cut off there. There's a couple in here where stuff just kind of got cut. The other thing with this one is that we were supposed to be working on our ink washes and learning how to use those. It was just another 2-page prompt. I don't have too much to say. I'm glad I got to make something about my sibling. Like I said, I love them dearly. I think they're amazing, and they're actually going through a really, really tough time right now. I wish them all the best, though. Something I did learn with this one, though, that I have to point out, is I was told that the blue lines would disappear in the scan process, and they did not. They did not disappear. It was lies. Okay, and now we get to turn the book. This is where we were instructed to make a character sheet based off of an old photograph. I don't remember what the photo was. I think I'll be able to find it and I'll put it up here and I'll be like, hey, it's by this person, which, it's already a Photoshop of another old photo, but it's the one I was most inspired by, so I decided to just go with it. And one thing I wanted to challenge myself with this one was trying to have an array of expression without having a mouth, right? Which was actually rather difficult. So her name is Iris, the Cyclops. I tried showing her being happy, startled, being annoyed, and then of course being upset. Along with the character design sheet, we had to make some sort of unique page about their background. So this is what I wrote, and it is literally a introduction written by Iris, stickers where she kind of draws out the double eyes and replaces it with single eyes because she's a Cyclops. Of course they should have only one eye. And our doodle monsters. There's 2 of these. With this one, we had to draw shapes and then turn them into monsters, and there was 8 in total, and then we had to take them home and choose half of them to redesign into full colored images. We were using crayons for coloring these, and again, I don't know how my classmates were able to make them the colors just so bright. They were so bright, and they popped from the page, and some of them almost came off like they were neon. It was amazing, and I worked into these. I thought I did anyway, and it still ended up coming out flat. And I just wish they would have taught me their ways. Some 4-panel comics. This is one that includes Betty Boop, which is pretty cute. Or was a design of Betty Boop. We had only a limited time to draw these, so that's why things are a little incomplete. This is based off of something I actually did once, where I had adopted a cat, and I did not know she was white until I gave her a bath. This was a separate but similar prompt where it was simply to take 2 characters and then to make a comic of them having an argument and then making up. One more scribble monster. I wish so much that the stuff was brighter, but I do kind of like the dog. He reminds me of, what is it, the party god from Adventure Time. Yes! This was my final comic that I did. So this was the last thing I made for this class, where we were told to make it the best that we possibly could to show off our skills and what we've learned. I tried really hard on this one. It's called Maddie, and we have our main character here who is a anthropomorphied blackface sheep, whom I kind of love. I kind of love blackface sheep. Something I really wanted to do with this one was challenge myself to have this character who is, primarily solid beta, just solid black ink, but to still include details and include their expressions. So the way I ended up achieving a lot of this was through coloring it in a solid black and then adding these little white details with the white ink pen. They come in and they're actually meeting with, oh, I have it over too far. They're actually meeting with our dog girl here. She is based off of a Pomeranian. So I tried to make her look extra orange and extra fluffy. She is the one named Maddie. To summarize, and you can pause if you actually want to read it, but to summarize, it is a little slice of life story about Lauren, who is the blackface sheep character here, asking Maddie out on a date, and in the end, Maddie already thought they were on a date, so she's like, oh, this is adorable, and yes, I would love to go out with you. And another page of process, because like I said, I enjoy adding that. You can see that some of it was kept in the final product and some of it changed. This was some more inking exercise, and this is actually one of my favorite kind of more exercise things that I did in the semester. I really like how bold the blacks came out. We were looking at samples from Hellboy, and I don't remember what this one was from, but these are samples from people who are well known in the comics industry and have these really beautiful dynamic skills with the ink brush and with use of their solid blacks. So that's what we were working on. On the Run. This was the complementary comic to the first one in this book, the Jump one. And you can tell I put too much work into this guy because I ran out of time and I kept it real simple. I also tried to just use primary colors, so we only have red, blue, and yellow. The fact that I wasn't able to do much coloring and there's so much white makes it kind of have a very summer feel to it because it kind of reminds me of red, white, and blue, which makes me think of the 4th of July. This was the other set of these kind of quick drawings, timed drawings to show expressions and character poses. And that is the project. We did many other things in this class. We did so much drawing and so much creating in this class, which was good. It actually got me to really start thinking about drawing again and kind of rekindled my feelings around art, which I cannot express appreciation enough for. And welcome back to my face. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching to the end. You didn't need to do that. If you want to stick around, then do all the YouTube things, like, share, comment. I will see you all next time. Hope you have a good week, month, whatever. Bye.